Bună ziua, sunt Diana Florescu și vă propun astăzi o altă perspectivă. Concret, cum vede un britanic Brexit-ul, riscul de contagiune generat de criza catalană. Vom vorbi un pic și despre Bitcoin, dar poate cea mai importantă întrebare a noastră este: de ce merită să trăiești sau să investești, sau și să investești în România? Este vorba despre Edward Russell. Hello, sir, and welcome.
Hello.
So, in the intro, I mentioned Bitcoin. It's skyrocketing. Yeah, we saw past the $6,250 mark last.
Yeah, I believe it hit all-time high yesterday as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about 700% year on year and year to date. What is it about Bitcoin right now, and how did you get interested in it?
I got interested. Funnily enough, I got interested in it because a Romanian programmer mentioned it to me about 2013, but I was pretty tied up with other business, and he just mentioned it in passing, and I forgot about it. And then I think sometime in 2014 it made the press. I think after the first price spike, sometime around that time, and I had a closer look at it. And then I looked a bit deeper and looked a bit deeper, and then I realised what it was, and went, "Oh man, this actually works," you know, because it's. I think it's really revolutionary technology. Probably in line with like the light bulb or the printing press or something, or the internet, something like that.
So we're talking about a huge step forward for whatever it represents. By the way, what does it represent?
But I think the most important thing about Bitcoin is it thus far doesn't seem to be something governments can regulate. So it's competition for the Fed and fiat money, you know, money that belongs to the people, like it used to.
Exactly, and this is very important. It's also a cheaper means of exchange, I would call it like that, in a way.
Yeah.
There's no commissions, there's no, I don't know which type of fees on it.
All around it's much more honest than fiat money. You know, for the things you can, there are some downsides, I guess, but compared with the upside, I don't think anybody who understands it's arguing too much.
What's the first downside that comes to your mind?
Only a temporary one, in that you can't. It's not so easy to spend, I don't think. And people, it's kind of complex, so people can't really understand it. You know, it's very difficult to explain to people quickly. If you try and explain Bitcoin to someone, it normally turns into a sort of 2-hour lecture on economics. Whereas if you're trying to explain money to someone, you just say, look, you take it and you can buy something with it.
Bitcoin, I don't know, blockchain, the data structure behind it. People get them mixed up a bit, the terms?
Yeah, because I think people try and, they forget that it's very technically complex. It's like someone asks you about Bitcoin and you would be the equivalent of asking you what a word processing package is, and then you spend the next few hours explaining to them exactly how a computer works. The solution is actually not to explain it, it's just to tell them what it actually does, because it's quite simple. Bitcoin's just a database, okay? Database of balances of people's Bitcoin holdings, like a bank account. So if you have an account on a bank, that's basically, electronic online banking, that's basically access to a database, right? You understand that, yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
Okay, so Bitcoin is just a database of everybody's balances. Now, the thing that the blockchain is, which is really clever, is it's a data structure that uses encryption. I won't go into exactly how it works, but it means that it's not something that can be tampered with by anyone, and it's not centrally controlled. So basically the blocks mentioned in the blockchain are blocks of transaction information, okay? And the blockchain is because a new block is created every 10 minutes, right? And which group of Bitcoin miners you might have heard of
course,
create these blocks isn't determined until one of them solves a block of transactions with a cryptographic puzzle, right? So you never know which of the next group of miners is going to complete the next block. And once a few groups of miners have completed a bunch of blocks the same, and you've got consensus, then that's accepted as the next block and put on the chain. And I don't know if that explains it.
Yeah, the blockchain, yeah.
So the basic idea is it's a database that no one can mess with, and it's decentralized. So as you can imagine, that's got a huge number of other applications.
We mentioned, I think, a couple of weeks ago, there was a cover on The Economist about, I think in 1980s it appeared, 87 I think, in 30 years there will be only one currency in the world. So it was
not aware of that one.
Sort of, yeah, they made this prediction that there will be everything. Of course, they talked about the euro and stuff. It wasn't detailed there, but it was this idea that we will have one day only one currency. How do you see that?
I've got fairly strong libertarian views, so I'm for small government. So I'm for that.
For that?
Yeah.
The latest news I saw on Bitcoin, is, apart from skyrocketing and I don't know its price, was today a news about the fact that a lot of jobs are appearing.
Yeah, and I actually know people who are working for cryptocurrencies, so I've got first-hand experience. I know a bunch of programmers that are getting paid in cryptocurrency, doing a job that is actually programming. Because this is another thing. Because all the programmers that are in the market, in the jobs market, understand a bunch of programming languages, many of which are used in Bitcoin. The whole concept of blockchain is completely new to everyone, right?
Okay.
So, and there's this explosion in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related companies, and they can't find the programmers, so that's a big demand. So all those companies are paying people cryptocurrency, because why not? I mean, you know, you've got to practice what you preach, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, it is becoming a part of the real economy slowly, but it is on the path to be a part of the real economy. And in Romania, we have very good software. We're becoming this software hub.
Yes.
Because we have very good technical skills, know-how, expertise. We're starting to actually monetize that.
That's kind of how I discovered Romania, funnily enough, because I was employing a programmer from here that I met online, who was much harder working and much more conscientious than the programs I knew in the UK, for a lot less money. So
a lot less money.
Yeah.
Talking about UK, it's very interesting. How do you, or even better, what did you feel in the morning that the results from the vote from the Brexit came out? How did you feel when you read the first headline that the UK, the United Kingdom, will leave the EU? How did that feel?
Rather unsurprised.
Unsurprised? We were quite surprised here.
Yeah, I figured.
Because if you would look from any point of view, all the financial analysts or the media, the business media, everybody was talking about surveys being done and that of course they will not decide to leave. Why do you think, as a native, as a local, was that vote to exit the EU?
I think it was interesting that the surveys didn't turn up the correct result, because I think people just lied at the surveys, because that was part of the problem, that you couldn't talk about the real reasons why you might want to leave the EU, because most of it was related, my personal opinion, is related to immigration. And if you start talking about stopping immigration, you start getting called a racist just for having the conversation. So that's kind of curbing free speech, isn't it? Like, you know, just because you want to say there are certain immigrants from certain countries that are making certain types of problem, you might be wrong, you might be right, but the fact is you got shut down before you even had the conversation. It's kind of a political correctness thing, you know. It's just levels that are ridiculous in my mind, and I think people are just starting to get wise to that now. That's why you're seeing this rise in these kind of far-right movements and these far-right opinions, because free speech has just been shut down on these matters.
But the first day afterwards, the most Googled question was, what is the EU? So yes. Would you say it was a rational vote? Did this immigration feeling outweigh the economics and every uncertainty that the economy is facing right now?
I think that's a fundamental problem with politics, isn't it? Because, you know, it's a lot of hype and crap, and politicians arguing over problems, and I think creating more problems rather than actually solving problems.
Yeah, but they do have their own role, and they are elected by the people, so, you know,
yeah,
it is a democracy.
Yeah, no, I get that, but they do spend most of their time, from what I see, stirring up division rather than trying to sit down together and work out problems. I mean, I don't think it's, I think it's sort of troubling to see these kind of things going on in the world with China getting more and more powerful, and the Russians seem to be going backwards from what I see.
Don't forget Trump, please, in this array
Trump's on a 4-year term, isn't he? So he's going to go at some point. I don't see how much he's going to do so much damage, and I think he's got everybody interested in politics in America, which is a good thing.
That's a positive thing. Let's see about the decisions and everything else with the fiscal plan, but we will not go there. I want to bring a fresh perspective. So the banking sector said, okay, we will move. We will set up in Frankfurt, in Paris, and then today the retailers came and said, you cannot move a supermarket from London to Frankfurt. It's not that easy, and there are a lot more problems that can come for us as retail if this is not negotiated properly. Do you see any risks from this end? Consumer spending?
I think this is all just the EU government fighting with the British government over what the divorce settlement's going to be, basically, and then afterwards they're all going to want to do business, because that's what business is. I mean, I don't personally think the EU should have been anything more than a trade and defence agreements. I don't think they should be getting involved in local laws and regulations.
At the same time, the financial markets are looking very closely at what is happening in Catalonia, and there is a connection to this. Do you see a possible risk of contagion? Because we see these parts of countries, the richer usually, trying to find independence, but it's only a few separatists who are, pushing things around. In Catalonia, there are 7 million people, and now they realized what that meant, and it's a lot of problems there right now. It's a sort of let's call it a crisis. We'll see how it manages. But do you see a danger to the euro or to the macroeconomic, balance there?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a danger to the whole European Union, depending on what happens in Brexit and Catalonia. I mean, how long is it before another country decides they want to leave? Why do you think they're fighting so hard with the UK? Because as soon as that gets solved, depending on what happens, who's going to be next? Italy, Portugal, Spain, who knows?
Greece probably has...
Greece, yeah, sorry. Forgot about the Greece.
Yeah, we cannot not talk about Greece. Yes, in Italy there's the Lombardy and Veneto regions versus the Mezzogiorno. In Germany we also have there with Merkel. There's also some issues regarding that.
I think there's something else going on with the internet as well. Since the advent of the internet and communication, I mean, something that's amazing for me, and I'm kind of proud of my country in a way, is how many people speak English, It's like everybody can talk. If you just said to me 30 years ago, bear in mind I remember watching the revolution on TV in England here, right?
Yeah.
If you just said to me 30 years ago, in 30 years you'll be living in Romania, I'd have told you were nuts.
Would you have known what Romania is?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I remember the revolution in Romania was pretty nasty. It was all in '89 when all those other Eastern European countries, everything fell apart.
Yeah.
And I remember very well, because everybody was actually paranoid of some kind of nuclear war with the Russians. And like Romania, I would have thought it was probably something Russian. I mean, there wasn't much information that came out, and we were limited to 4 TV channels. I think there are 3 actually then. So now everybody can talk to everybody. Yeah. And I talk to people all over the world about cryptocurrency and other things. And
you can trade from all over the world, wherever you are. If you have a Wi-Fi or a good internet connection, you can trade.
Yes, absolutely.
You can get information, you can get...
But guess what? It turns out everybody's pretty nice, really, wherever you look. So I think the governments have been fooling us somewhat.
And if you said that, well, what happened if you mentioned that 30 years ago you wouldn't have seen yourself in Romania? Is it worth living in Romania nowadays, from your perspective?
Sure, yeah. I mean, as long as you can earn money, it's very cheap here. If you can earn money that's reasonable rates by European standards here, you can have a very good standard of living, and the country's safe, the weather's nice.
You like our country, sir?
Yeah, I think it's very cool.
Any region in particular? Or?
Well, I like Argeș, where I live. It was a bit of a coincidence since I...
Yeah, I was also born in
Argeș.
Yeah,
it's very beautiful and hilly, and One thing I don't get about Romania is why everybody here complains about Romania and other Romanians so much. I don't get that because everybody's nice to me and it's really friendly and safe and, you know, nice place to live. So.
Do you picture yourself going back to the UK?
I'm sorry?
Do you picture yourself going back to the UK?
No, you couldn't give me any amount of money to move back to the UK.
So
well, you could if I didn't have to stay very long.
We have also Prince Charles, who also likes a region in Romania. So there's a lot of interest, but it's only, when I say a lot, it's actually not that a lot of an interest to come here. Why do you think people feel reluctant?
I think Romania gets, this is a pet hate of mine actually, I think Romania gets some very bad PR, very unfair PR. I mean, because I think you've got a very small minority of people who go to other Western countries and create a lot of trouble for their numbers, and people see those people getting arrested in trouble and they think all Romanians are like that.
Okay, so this is about...
Just you know, it doesn't help when our press mentions Romanians in a bad context, right? But they constantly do that. I mean, I can find you articles. They constantly do this rather than, what about all the programmers there?
Of course, the bankers, everybody that goes to work. Or
I mean, I know loads of people that work there, and it's funny how they don't write in the press about all the people that are doing hard-working jobs and, you know, have a decent work ethic.
And by the way, we looked at the figures at a certain point in time, and the unemployment rate among citizens from the southeastern Europe, was a lot less than the unemployment rate at the national level in the UK. So this idea that they're going there to live on social welfare is a different one. How do you see Romania in
what sense?
Short and medium term? How do you see it from a macro perspective? Because the landscape, I hope the mountains will not go anywhere, or the ocean,
in what respects?
A macro, an economic perspective, yeah.
It's very hard to say, because personally I think that, I read a lot of stuff about this, and I think that you could see a crisis that's going to dwarf the 2008 crisis. Just the way things look to me with the situation in the US and Europe. I don't know, I've just got a feeling about that. There's a lot of people theorising about this, you know, even people saying the dollar will collapse and whatever. I don't know. Who knows? Lots of uncertainty in the world at the moment.
Exactly, and it's very hard to water it down. Thank you very much. Am discutat așadar despre cum vede un britanic Brexit-ul. Ați văzut că da, poate sondajele nu mai știu să arate lucrurile în adevărata lor lumină, pentru că poate nu avem curajul să recunoaștem ceea ce vom vota acolo. Este o perspectivă foarte interesantă a unui om care a venit și îi place să fie în România și nu vrea să plece. Citez, indiferent ce sumă de bani mi-ai, dar nu aș vrea să plec, avem o țară frumoasă, dar într-adevăr există multă incertitudine nu numai în lume și la noi, la nivelul autorităților, vedem tot felul de măsuri anunțate sau neanunțate sau promisiuni care sunt nefundamentate, dar într-adevăr în acest moment macroeconomic România în poziția sa externă este slăbită. Vom vorbi despre ce înseamnă exact twin deficits, da? Deficite gemene. Este cel mai mare pericol pe care îl avem în acest moment, și deficit de cont și deficit bugetar. Am văzut că s-a cheltuit mai mult decât trebuia, dar nu o să las emisiunea într-o astfel de notă, pentru că uite, există și exemple de oameni care apreciază ceea ce găsesc în țara noastră. O zi frumoasă în continuare!